Snitch puts it away. Uh, hey, how you doing today, Lance?
I'm just really happy the way the defense played, not allowing a bunch of shots. They did have Binnington have to come up with some really big saves. And like I
Saves,
said
yeah.
earlier on Twitter, you can tell he was seeing the puck really well tonight. And I think recently he looks more confident and he is seeing the puck a lot better than he has
I,
over
I
the.
think I think COVID had a lot to do with how he
Well, it,
played.
it, it does because, I haven't played hockey in years, but I can imagine with
Yeah,
the case of COVID I had, and it wasn't put me in the hospital bad, but
yeah.
it took me, I would say at least 4 or 5 weeks to feel even close to what I was before it.
Ashley got it right. She said 3-1. Right, the Mrs. Jones,
Me and Mrs.
Jones.
Jones.
There you go. We got me and Lance singing now. I look at tonight's win, and there's a lot. I guarantee you, a lot of people are gonna say that uh, the Blues didn't play good. They played down to Nash or
Not
to
true.
the Sharks, and they played the type of game that you need to play in this situation.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
They played that. Matt Lowe says pretty good game. Thomas and the Blues pretty much controlled the game. I agree with that.
Yep.
I think they gave up 21 shots. That's what we've been wanting all season long.
That's great.
Right? That's what we've wanted all season long. I think, okay, Binnington gave up that first one, right? Soft goal, mistakes made, okay, but then you cover it. You recover, right?
Yeah,
you have your fourth line go in and get a goal.
Yep.
You have your power play get a goal.
Mm-hmm.
You do the things you need to do to win the game. It doesn't matter that you didn't win 9-0.
No, you're right? And you know what, Guy? Another thing is, what do I always say as a former goalie?
Yep.
When they needed him to make the big saves and the simple saves for the rest of the game, he did. In that third period, they let up a little bit and made some puck handling mistakes, and man, he was really good.
Yeah, mistakes happen, but they did what they needed to do.
Yep.
You've got the weekend. The weekend is going to be huge. You've got the late game and then the afternoon game, right? And I think that this is going to be very. And here it is. Kenny from Australia makes a good tight win. Keep in touch with Minnesota. They put the pressure squarely on Minnesota again, right? And yes, to us. Home ice means not, means something, means not, whatever. But to the players, it's important that they don't let Minnesota run away and then they lose, and Minnesota have that confidence. By keeping this up, they're taking some of that confidence away from Minnesota in my eyes.
It's like I said earlier after the second intermission, these guys aren't really thinking about Minnesota or nothing. They're playing well enough right now, and they didn't play down to their opponent. I didn't think San Jose played bad. They didn't get a lot of shots on Binnington, but they poured it on in the third period. And you know what? When you're down 2-1, that's what you expect any team to do. Even teams that aren't going to make the playoffs, 9 times out of 10, Guy, you've seen it. We've all seen it. Teams put in their best effort in the third period.
Yeah, right now we have. And okay, so Ryan Green asked a pretty good question. Why is it important to keep playing to the end of the season, even though the first round is officially against the Wild? Because you have home ice still available, and home ice gives you a psychological advantage, whether it means anything or not. Second, you don't want to go into with them playing as well as they are, you don't want them to go in thinking, okay, yeah, they've had us before, but we're playing better than them right now. You want Minnesota going into the season going, wow, we played this well and so did they, and we haven't beat them at all this season. We barely beat them in the last 3 years. Man, psychologically it matters. There is some psychological warfare going on.
It does. And if we all remember, people don't remember this. The 1920 shortened season, the Blues played very, very well before the stoppage. And then they came back, Guy, and they had those practice games and games that supposedly didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It meant a lot because the Blues played terrible. They went 0-5 in those games, if I remember correctly.
They did.
You've got to go into a playoff. You've got to go into a playoff, a tournament, playing your best. Now, do you have to go in playing like the Blues have recently, winning 10 out of 12 games and so on and so forth? No, but you have to be playing your best hockey going into the playoffs.
And Ashley says, and you don't want to lose your game, and that's
Yep,
another
that's right.
important thing,
That's
right?
right.
I will. Jason says I will fight and most likely get my ass kicked, but anyone that says getting Bush was a bad trade, yeah, no, but that's a joke. Bush was a great trade. Bush Navage, when he came in here, I said, me and Lance, you and me talked about this when that trade happened.
Mm-hmm.
Remember this?
Mm-hmm.
And we both felt that we're like, okay, why Bush? Why Bush? What does it do? And we talked about this a little bit, and we said, I wonder if this is a Tarasenko type trade. I wonder if bringing Bushnevich in helps solidify Tarasenko, gives him, another Russian, gives him somebody to talk to, gives him somebody, that can help him adjust or get over what was happening, right?
Yeah,
And
I think, I didn't think it would turn out this well, and a lot of people at the beginning of the season thought that I wasn't for the trade, and that's not what it was. You and I both talked about it. I thought he would be a good guy, about a 20-goal scorer, and there were some people saying, well, if he plays with O'Reilly, he's gonna score 40, 50 goals, and I knew that wasn't going to happen. But you know what? He's that guy, and he's always been that guy, even with the Rangers, and it still shocks me. I know they didn't want to pay him money, but he has been worth every penny of the new contract the Blues signed with him,
mm-hmm.
and he's a two-way player, and I don't think the Rangers really saw him that way.
Yeah, I don't think they did either. They may not have used him.
No, they didn't. He was that guy. He was on their third line for most of the season.
Yeah,
when he was with the Rangers, and then he played the second line sometimes, but he was on the third line a lot in his last season with the Rangers.
Think of this. Think if Thomas would have had the beginning half, the first half that he had in the second half.
He would have 100 points.
Okay, Thomas has 100 points. Bushnevich hits 30, 35 goals, and Tarasenko hits 40, 45 goals.
Could be.
Right? That's something to think about. This team right here is doing. You look at March, and in March, how everybody, including my buddy Dante, was destroying our Blues. They suck. They're not going to make anything in the first round. And this team responded to themselves. And Ashley, you did say 30 goals. I remember that.
And
you and me both were in that. Yeah. You and me were both where 30 goals was possible.
Yeah. And I was down on them in March, and I was, but I said this, and the caveat was, if they play like they're playing now, they're not going to go far in the playoffs. I didn't say they couldn't get to the playoffs. I didn't say they wouldn't be successful. I just said they couldn't play like they were playing. And lo and behold, they just start getting this hot streak. It reminds me somewhat of 2018-19. I know Binnington came in, but if you noticed, O'Reilly had played great all year. One of the only Blues to play great before that. And then Perron started clicking. And then Bozak started playing better. And Christine started stepping it up a little bit. Everybody started playing on the same page.
Yeah, no. I mean, and you've got right now, you've got probably one of the hottest lines in the NHL.
Yep.
In Tomasov, Bushnevich, and Tarasenko. Yep. He's an honorary Russian right now. But what Thomas is doing, Thomas is seeing the ice so differently right now. I'm telling you, and we talked about this early in the season, Thomas reminds me of Oates. He really does. And Oates got to a point when he got here.
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you something. You and I and Ashley have talked about it. If Adam Oates stays here 4 more years with Brett Hall, Brett Hall would be the top goal scorer of all time.
I've said that. I've said that numerous times.
About it.
I've said that numerous times.
Yeah, you have
absolutely.
Too. Yep. Huh? But yeah, you're right. You can, like we were talking after the second intermission, you can see his vision's better. He doesn't waste movement anymore like he used to when he was last year and the year before that. He's much more disciplined. But, he reminds me a little bit of Fedorko, too. Fedorko didn't have that speed, but Fedorko had great vision. He knew where people were on the ice all the time.
Yeah. Right? Neely is a +5 with the Blues, comes on board as a -33. No, Letty has done a good job with the Blues, right?
Lance,
what is your take on our Corsi rating? Apparently it's bad.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's one of those
listen,
things
okay,
where the eye test tells me something
yeah,
different.
and analytics are good, but they're not good on their own. You have to show other things to really see where the analytics go. Like Guy says, you got to do the eye test, and it's just like a goaltender. There's more to a goaltender than goals against and save percentages, and there's more to a player or a team than Corsi ratings. There's just a lot more to it.
Yeah, this team. I'll tell you what. Tammy says that this team loves playing. They love playing the underdog role. I don't know about that, but it seems to be clicking.
I think
Someone's standing behind Thomas wearing a blue note with Boston where St. Louis normally is. A yellow shirt, a yellow with the Blues, blue note emblem with Boston
yeah.
where the Blues should
Yeah,
be. That's
and yeah,
kind
a
of
couple
cool.
games ago, Guy, what did I say? This
Yeah.
team, number one, is enjoying playing together. And
Yes.
and one thing that's important, and we talk about it all the time, if you're not out there having fun, it's going to show up on the ice. And these guys are having a blast. They're taking their game seriously. Don't get me wrong, but you can tell they're having fun.
It's really a great feeling that people might look at the Colorado Blues second round and think that it's a head-to-head matchup that can go either way. Hard to predict who wins. I agree with that, Ryan. I really do. I'll tell you
I
what, the
think,
way
yeah,
the Blues are playing right now,
yep,
I have no. In fact, here's an interesting thing that could happen. Right? You start Huso for Minnesota, and you start Binnington against Colorado.
that's too many days off for Binnington.
Maybe.
Yeah,
But
you don't want to do that with a team like Colorado that's got that offensive firepower.
mm,
I think if the Blues can get to Colorado and they really play well in that first round, it's not going to be an easy series for Colorado, and it won't be an easy series for the Blues. It's going to be one of those series, and a lot of people are going to expect 5-4 games. They're going to be 2-1, 3-2. They're going to
yeah,
be tough games. I give the
they're going to be
Blues
a lot
defense the
closer.
edge because the Blues defense is better defensively than the Avalanche's defense.
You know what? Overall, so Corsi's supposed to be a rating of your defense 5-on-5,
I know.
and that's fine. Hold on, that's fine. However, the Blues and did they got one goal 5-on-5 tonight and gave up one 5-on-5,
Yep.
right? No, they got two goals 5-on-5.
Yep.
So they got another plus. So the Blues 5-on-5, and make sure I get this right: 53, 63, 73, 83. They are a plus 35 5-on-5. Plus 35 5-on-5.
I'll take that.
That is a number I'll take. San Jose, on the other hand,
Yep.
is a minus 34.
Yep. And there's why one's
Okay.
one of the top teams in the league and the other's not.
Right? Yeah. I'm okay with this right now. I really am. I know that when you look at some of the stats and things like that, so maybe Colorado's a little better 5-on-5. Where they're not better is special teams.
No, they're not.
They're not better special teams. Colorado is not going to be able to take advantage of the Blues. They're not going to be able to hit them as much. They're not going to be able to do those plays that, are borderline where the Blues can do them, because I think that, overall, they're not going to give up a bunch of power play goals. They're not going to give them up. This team, to me, is the second best special teams in the league.
Yeah, and another thing is, I give the Blues the edge defensively, and I give the Blues the edge in goaltending, and people are going to argue with me about that. But, does Colorado, in my mind, has two great lines, a third very good line, and their fourth line's okay. That's where the Blues beat them from top to bottom. I'll take the Blues top to bottom 4 lines over Colorado's 4 lines any day of the week. It's going to be a tough series. Don't get me wrong. It's not going to be an easy series for either team if they end up playing each other. It should be a fun
it's not.
series.
It's going 6 or 7. It's not going to be a sweep like it was last time.
Nope.
Blues were 1 for 5 on the power play tonight, but I think that they just didn't. I mean, they played it, but they took the shots, but they weren't really trying to score, right? That's why we should change. Well, I've actually read some stuff about that. The NHL is never going to go to a 3-point system.
Nope.
Right? They
Nope.
just don't see the necessary. They
Nope.
think that it actually will benefit. It will hurt. It will hurt the overtime. It will make teams try and not go to. It will actually hurt the overtime. They will try and go to the
Do you know
shootout.
what I'd like to see, Guy?
Yeah,
If you want to make that 3-on-3 overtime, which I don't like, if
yeah.
you want to make it mean something, do what you say. Make it a 10-minute period, or make it to where, okay, you've got to overtime. If you don't win it in overtime, you don't get any points. It makes that overtime worth something more. You either get 2 points or
The only problem with that, Lance, is you're going to have the exact same thing that happened when the tie was in there.
well,
Teams did not want to give up that point, so they didn't. They played not to lose.
yeah,
Right? Both
but
teams did.
guy, here's the thing. If you don't get a point, go to overtime unless you win. You can't play not to lose, because you're going to end up on most games a team is going to score. If they know going into overtime they're either going to get 2 points or no points. If they lose, teams are going to try harder. And yeah, if you go to overtime and you tie, you get a point. But if you lose, you're going to get no points. I can see
I
it
don't
from
like
both
that.
sides.
I think the getting to overtime should be worth something, right? I like the point for the overtime. I like the point for the shootout.
Yeah,
I
but
do.
Guy, the thing I don't like that you get a point just to go to overtime. You've got teams that they come back and tie it, let's say 3-3, and there's 6 minutes left. They start playing a lot of times. Now, not every game, coaches are different, teams are different,
Yeah.
but a lot of the teams are happy just to get that tie, and they're just going to do their best not to give up that goal to go to overtime. That's the one thing that I would like it. The overtime's got to mean something.
I agree with that. I do, but I think that that's why I think that the 2-1. Yep. That's why I'm a proponent of the 3-2-1-0 system. Right? 3 points for a win, 2 points for an overtime win, 1 point or an overtime shootout win, 1 point for a overtime shootout loss. Right? Mm-hmm. That changes things, right? That makes the regular season. See what they've done. Here's the thing, right? They've made RW be the first tiebreaker, the second tiebreaker, okay? First tiebreaker once they're all at 82 games.
Yep.
So that puts, however, what it doesn't do, well, that's great if the two teams are tied, but if you have a team that has all these overtime losses and gets that point, that makes enough points to get them ahead of the team that had more regulation wins, the regulation win doesn't mean a damn thing.
Yep, I don't like that.
And that's an issue that could happen this season, right? If the Blues get third, they will have more regulation wins than Minnesota does. And that is an issue. You've made the regulation win not mean anything.
Yep.
Right? It just the 3 points makes the regulation. Yep. You take that. Now you add, you go in there and you add those regulation wins. You take some of those points away from, or you add points to the Blues for the extra regulation wins. Right?
Well, Guy, years ago, they did do the playoffs that way. If they looked at your record head to head, and then they looked at regulation wins, and they don't do that anymore. It doesn't mean that much.
Well, it's for position. Well,
I know.
No, actually, they had different tiebreakers.
I know.
And I get that.
I know.
But for me, it just comes down to simply, it simply comes down to how important is a regulation win.
That's right.
And to say that, the regulation win is only important in a tiebreaker, I have an issue with that. And that's what the NHL has done, right? You make it 3 points and you add 7 more points to the Blues right now. Mm-hmm. They take second no matter what, right?
Yeah, I don't really like the 3-2-1 point, but I will tell you this, Guy, I do agree with you that it's better than what they have now.
The Blues have 7 more regulation wins.
Yeah, I know.
Than Minnesota. Mm-hmm. So you add 7 more points. So if it was a 3-point system, right?
Mhm.
You would add, the Blues would get 7 more points
Yep.
than Minnesota right now. At 7 more points,
That's huge.
7 more points, they're at 112,
112.
right?
Yep.
112.
Yep.
Colorado would get 3 more extra points added, so they'd be so they'd be up 3 more points. But that 112 would put Minnesota wouldn't even be close in points, right? They wouldn't be close in points. Now look, I know that the actual points would change, but what I'm saying, so everything else, so if you got 3 points for a win, Minnesota has 35 wins. So if they got 3 times the 35, and then I could do the math. But right now, basically, the Blues have 7 more wins. They would have 7 more points. And that is huge, right? That is huge. And here's the regulation overtime wins, right? The Blues have 1 more regulation overtime win.
Yeah.
So they have, Minnesota's have all of these regular, overtime wins, where the Blues have all these overtime losses. You could really, the Blues would benefit from that 3-2-1 system, and it makes so much sense because now the regulation win means a lot more than just a tiebreaker, right? And you put the regulation win in, and sorry guys, I'll get to your comments in a second. You put the regulation win in, and now the Blues look like a much better team against Colorado.
Yep. And they had thought about this guy. I don't know if you knew this, in the 80s to early 90s. Commissioner Ziegler had some people that were recommending it to him.
Yeah.
And he, and I understand it. He was an old time hockey guy. Mr. Ziegler was, and I liked him. I liked him as a commissioner better than Bettman.
Well, Bettman was the first commissioner.
And I think that, he was the president of the league.
Okay, yeah, president of the league.
Yeah, Mr. Ziegler was the president
of the
league. He loved the game of hockey. He knew the game of hockey, and they had talked about it, and they decided that it wouldn't be good for the game. But if Bettman makes the changes, and that open up the game more, and guys are scoring more, and why not do a change like that? If you don't like it, you can always go back to the way it was.
I think they should try it for 1 or 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Right. And just see how it is. I would love to face the Coyotes in the Western Conference Final, and face Buffalo in the Stanley Cup Final. Yeah, that ain't happening, Ryan. That ain't happening. But they keep winning and catch the Avs. No, they would. No. Actually, they wouldn't. The Avs would have still secured the.
Yeah.
I mean, they would have had a chance, but not much. I mean, because the Avs actually would have picked up more points. The Avs would have picked up 2 extra points there, so there'd be a little more separation.
If the Blues had started playing better in the last 2 weeks of March, 3 weeks of March, it would be a different story.
Different story, right? That March they had to play a lot better than they did, and they didn't. Right? But it doesn't matter. They played when it mattered in April.
That's right.
Right? They played when it mattered in April. It would have made it closer. It would have made the Blues look a lot better. Right? They are a good team. There's the 3-on-3. The issue with the 3-on-3, this is why I think it should be 4-on-4 for 5. And then after the 5 minutes, after the first break after the 5, you drop down to 3-on-3, the first whistle.
If you're going to do 10 minutes, yes. If you're going to go a 15-minute period, then I would start out with 5, do 4, and then 3. But if you're going to do 10 minutes, I fully agree with the 4 and then 3.
I just think it needs to be more than a 5-minute overtime, right? Now, I know basketball does a 5-minute overtime, but basketball only does 12-minute quarters, right? So when you only do think of the other sports, right? Football does a full 15-minute quarter. Actually, I think they do a 12-minute quarter, right? I think they drop it down to 12. Yeah, in the regular season.
Oh, right? Football's 15-minute quarters.
No, but in the overtime.
Oh, the overtime?
It drops to 12.
The overtime, they can just keep playing and playing, so it really doesn't matter how long it is anyway.
No, because it's a type of sudden death now, right? Both teams get the ball now, but it's a type of sudden death.
They're changing it. They're changing it for this season coming up.
Yes, to where both teams get, if you score a touchdown, the other team still gets a chance to
Yep,
score
the
a
other
touchdown.
team gets a chance.
They're
Yep.
going to have more ties. That's all there's to it. But I think it drops down to 12 minutes, right?
I don't think it does.
No, I think it does. I'd have to look, but somebody who knows can tell me. The Blues are in basketball. They play a 12-minute quarter and do a 5-minute overtime.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a lot closer, right? In baseball, you do a full inning, right? You do a full inning, an inning, an inning, an inning. Now they've got the man on second, but that's neither here nor there. They still do a full inning. My issue is hockey, 20 minutes, and you only do a quarter of it in the overtime. It's not enough. It needs to be closer to 50% or even 75% of a regulation period.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I've never liked the 5-minute time. I don't think it's enough time. I think that it really sets you up negatively. Right? Mm-hmm. Oh, Jason, we do not need Ashley. We're doing just fine. I only got 3 minutes left anyways. Right? And listen to him. It's 15 minutes in football. I for some reason, I know
it's 15.
Now, hold on. I know it is in regulation or in playoffs. I think in the
nope, it's 15.
Did you look it up?
No, I've been watching football for years now. They made a rule change that I didn't know of, and I can't remember what it was a couple of years ago, and I was wrong. But I'm almost positive overtime is 15 minutes.
I'm looking it up right now.
But that's very nice of you to say about Ashley. She definitely adds to the show, and
she does.
She's awesome. We when she can't come on, everybody misses her.
Oh, see, it's 10 minutes.
We were
regular
both wrong.
Season overtime rules. The official overtime period is 10 minutes, regardless of what happens in scoring. If nobody scores after 10 minutes, the result is a tie. I knew it wasn't a full 15. I actually thought it was 12, but it's 10. So I was somewhat right. We will play as well as Huso saves our asses. No, Ryan, no. I do not agree with that Huso saving our asses. I don't. He's played good, but Binnington hasn't played as bad as everybody's given him. And in fact, if you look, the whole team played bad in March.
Yep.
Huso didn't make us any better in March when we needed it.
Yep. We've had a couple of hiccups this year for a few weeks off and on, so it's not all on Binnington.
Here's some interesting for you. So Craig Berube is now at 154 wins, the third all-time winningest coach in Blues history. That's interesting considering he's only been a coach for 3.5 years.
Yeah. What does that show you?
This is his first full season.
It shows you guys that the Blues have went through a crap load of coaches in their history.
Yeah. Well, look how long Quinville was there. He's number one with 300 and something.
Yep.
And then I forget who Hitchcock's number two. Hitchcock
Brian
was there 10 years.
Brian Sutter third.
Sutter was third. He passed Sutter tonight.
Yeah.
Right.
That doesn't mean a lot because now if Berube had been here 10 years and he was leading, that would mean a lot more to me. Just the Blues have went through so many coaches in our lifetime, guy. I mean, dang.
Benny and Huso gave up a bad goal in the last two games. It's about the team playing the same in front of each. And that's a good point.
Yeah. You know what that shows? That Goblin's not perfect.
Hold up. Oh my God. Guy can't say he's wrong. Semi-right.
You notice that too?
Why do you need me more than I need sleep, Jason Nichols, Ashley? Yeah, okay, I have a hard time admitting when I'm wrong, but sometimes I'm not always wrong, right? I'm right a lot. So, that's the way it is. Lance,
guy, you weren't right, but your thought process was correct because you said it's shorter than regulation. So in that aspect, you were right.
Yes, I just had the wrong time amount, right? But that's what I was getting at. So they play a 50%. Or no, regular 15. So they play a 75%.
75%, yeah.
Right? Basketball plays about a 40%. Let's see, 12 minutes, 5 divided into 12 into 5 is what? Let me get this real quick. Let me do math. I'll know how bad I am on math. Let's see here.
I could answer it, but I'm gonna let you do it.
Say again.
I can answer it, but I'm gonna let your brain do some work there.
41%. Right. So basketball's at 41%, and hockey is at 25%. Right. It needs to be closer to that 50%. It needs that. They need to go to the 10 minutes. I really think they do. Right. And I also think that they need to change how players are paid. Now, here's another big thing. I think that they need to have a soft cap in the playoffs, right? I know the players don't get paid in the playoffs, but their annual salary, their AAV, should carry over into the playoffs. Now, because of the way the playoffs are set, and you get to carry the 23, you can, instead of it being 81.5, it would be 84.5. A little bit of it, to cover those extra guys. They're usually $1 million guys anyways. But having just an open season and you can bring anybody in, I don't like that. Yes, sir, they did win. Right? So that's kind of where I'm at on that. Agree, disagree there, Lance, man, before we go away?
No, I agree.
Right? I want to see some type of system or soft cap system to where that they can't just do that anymore. And it would like Vegas. If Vegas gets in, right? I mean, the amount of guys, they've got guys, so many guys on LTIR that are on LTIR just to put them on LTIR, basically. Right? I mean, they had minor injuries that put them on LTIR so they could quote unquote circumvent the cap, which they didn't. I mean, they're playing the system the way it is. I get that.
They're doing it legally within the system, but they're doing it illegally within the system because those guys are hurt, but they're taking advantage of it. And the league really, I don't care if the Blues did it, I would say the Blues were taking advantage of it because it's not good for the game.
Yeah, I'm with that. Aram Merkelin is telling us the Blues won. Aram, thank you so much. We appreciate that from
Thank you for showing up.
Guy does carry on a bit from time to time. Oh my goodness.
We all don't we all, Ashley?
Yeah, I know. Hell no, doesn't anyone dare touch the cap? Keep it hard as a rock. No, well, I'm sorry, I disagree with that. He's busy talking. I love this damn show. Thank you. It is what it is. Or maybe the Blues could sign the dominant line of the Scott Day Inferno and Bensing and be done with it. It'd be free and we'd all smoked in the oh my goodness, Fonte. Well, guys, great show. We'll be on Saturday. That's a late game too, I think. Or no, Is that a late game? Yeah, semi-late game. I think
it's either 9 or 9:30, I think.
9 o'clock. I think it's a 9 o'clock. I don't think it's a 9:30. 9 o'clock game, 4 o'clock my time, or 3:30 on the Blue Note fan report. Yes, I do say right a lot. I do. It's something that it's one of them, what do you call it? Character quirks, I guess you could say. My favorite game time, late time game. It is for me too, buddy. Okay, guys, have a great night. Enjoy it. We'll be playing the Ducks on Saturday. Or no, we'll be playing Arizona on Saturday and the Ducks on Sunday. I can't wait. And yes, I do say neutral zone a lot. But again, I'll get off the neutral zone when the Blues start playing in the neutral zone the way they're supposed to. Right? Okay, Lance, have a great night. This is Guy, the Y Blues fan, for Lance to Scott, saying aloha mahalo, and we'll see you on the next Blue Note fan report tomorrow, 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Aloha.